Bismillah banyak-banyak, Bi.
Kenapa tak slideshow?
Oh, sorry. Mana ni?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will present about Al-FARABI, a review to Tahsil Al-Saadah. First of all, I would like to introduce our group member. First of all, we have Najah Sazwani, Iza Jalila Sazwani, and me myself, Balkis. So, Al-FARABI, review for Tahsil Al-Saadah. For introduction, we have 4 parts of content. The first one, we will talk about the biography of Al-Farabi. The second one, we will talk about the review of Tahsil Al-Saadah itself, which talks about happiness according to Al-Farabi and the influence of Greek philosophy. Review Tahsil Al-Saadah next continue to the influence of Islam, political participation of happiness, and the next one is implementation of counseling treatment on how to implement his idea of work into counseling session. So for introduction, Al-Farabi was the first philosopher in Islam world who not only display an serious interest in philosophy of society and religion, but including music. So the majority of Al-Farabi's reference come from three great philosophers. The first one is Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. So these philosophical texts are being translated from Greek into Arabic. So Al-Farabi used most of this work for his reference. Next. So who is Al-Farabi? So Al-Farabi actual name is Abu Nas Muhammad ibnu Al-Farabi. So the date of birth is 259 after Hijrah in a small village named Wasich near Farab in Turkestan, which now known as Kazakhstan. So his education starts from Farab, Al-Bukhara, and next to Baghdad, where he gets his highest education, where later on he migrates to Damashq, where known as Syria now. So in regard of Islamic world, Al-Farabi, known as the greatest philosophical authority, he also known as the second Aristotle in his era. His position in the Islamic world is a philosopher and a scientist. Next. So, as I said earlier, Al-Farabi used most of other great philosopher works in his actual work, which is Plato and Aristotle. For example, many of Al-Farabi work had been translated into there are many philosophers that had been translated Al-Farabi work. For example, Arik Radov, Joe McGrinis, and David Wixman. So Plato, the concept of happiness is the good of the source in intelligibility, which means humans aim at the good and do nobody voluntary evil actions. Evil actions are the side of lack of insight. So theoretically, Plato said that reason is the highest activity of a man and a necessity to pain attainers, where Aristotle introduced the concept of eudaimonia, which is happiness. And according to Aristotle, happiness is the highest of all goods, which later means that the life of amusement and the happy life. Amusement is not self-sufficient of happiness. Then Al-Farabi voiced out his opinion that said that happiness is the highest of all good, chosen only for itself and the goal of life, whereas virtues are sought only for the sake of happiness. Al-Farabi introduced the concept of jihad al-nafs. So I'll proceed the presentation to our next presenter, but I'll share with you some of the Farabi's quote. famous quote. An art which an aim to achieve the beauty is called a philosophy, or in absolute sense, it is named wisdom. So let's proceed to our next presenter, Nani.
Okay, now I will explain about the review of Tahsil as Saadah. Okay, the first part of this review will talk about happiness according to Al-Farabi. So, happiness according to Al-Farabi is absolute good, which means the good that is desired for its own sake, where there is nothing greater to achieve. And achieving happiness is the purpose of life and reason for human existence. Anything that helps a person to achieve happiness is good, and anything that obstructs a person from achieving happiness is evil. Okay, maksud dia dekat sini, kebahagiaan menurut Al-Farabi adalah satu tujuan yang tertinggi yang diinginkan oleh setiap manusia dan hanya akan diperoleh dengan melakukan perbuatan-perbuatan terpuji ataupun perbuatan-perbuatan baik. Dan di sini happiness terbahagi kepada dua, iaitu earthly happiness and supreme happiness. Kebahagiaan duniawi dan kebahagiaan yang kekal abadi, which is kebahagiaan akhirat. Okay, next. Okay. Al-Farabi also talk about virtues in acquiring happiness. So virtues is something that result in excellence and perfection in its existence and actions. So, okay. Al-Farabi say that nation and citizens of cities can attain earthly happiness in this world and supreme happiness in hereafter when four virtues are met. Okay. These four virtues include first one, theoretical virtues or jadain al-fikriyah, principle of science. It is obtained without feeling, without knowing how its origin, and it is obtained through observation, teaching, and learning. The example of theoretical virtues is the concept of creator or God, the reason for being, and the purpose is to have perfect understanding of all the beings. Okay. Next.
Ya. Oh, tak ada.
Okay. Next is deliberative virtues. Okay. Oh, tak nampak. Kejap. Mana? Okay. Deliberative virtue of intellectual virtues is a virtues which one allow people to know what is most beneficial in their primary purpose, and this deliberative faculty can provide the rationality limit of good and bad. Okay. The third one, we have moral virtues, virtues that aim to seek the good virtues, the virtue that aim to seek the good, and these moral virtues is required for happiness. This virtue must follow intellectual virtues or be under intellectual virtues, which means that moral virtues cannot be achieved before we achieve deliberative virtues. And the last one is practical virtues. It's combined knowledge and action. And according to Al-Farabi, theoretical virtues, deliberative virtues, moral virtues, and practical arts are inseparable. So, in order to achieve happiness, one must have all these four virtues. And theoretical virtues can help a person to differentiate things that are rational in deliberative. Okay, next. Okay. All these virtues can be achieved through two medium, which is teaching, ta'lim, and training, ta'lim. Okay, teaching simply by orally, while training is done verbally and in action. Okay, maksudnya dekat sini, mengajar cukup dengan lisan, manakala melatih or ta'lim dilakukan dengan lisan dan perbuatan. So Al-Farabi believe that a person needs someone that can guide him or her toward achieving happiness. For example, philosopher, imam, or king, in order for the person to become virtuous and happy people. So, Al-Farabi also talked about the concept of virtuosity and non-virtuosity in his book, which is virtuosity is a city which people cooperate and help each other for the purpose of attaining happiness. The soul of the citizen of the virtuous city are immortal, and second one is non-virtuous city, which is the city whose people don't know happiness, and the soul of the citizen are mortal, and thus their identity is to suffer. So these two cities explain about how the soul of the citizen in the city. Okay. Political association also should be directed toward the attainment of happiness. Next. Okay, next one is the influence of Greek philosophy, as what Balkis has mentioned in the introduction. Most of Al-Farabi works um, have influence of Greek philosophy. So Al-Farabi concept of happiness is a product of his experience and his understanding of Greek philosophy and Islam. And Al-Farabi was greatly influenced by both Plato and Aristotle in his philosophy in general in his own concept of happiness. Al-Farabi would combine Plato concept of good and Aristotle concept of eudaimonia, which is happiness, and Islamic concept of jihad al-nafs, struggle of the soul. The two concepts of good and concept of happiness by Plato and Aristotle have already been explained by Balkis, and the Islamic concept of jihad al-nafs will be explained by Iza. Okay, I will pass this presentation to Iza.
Okay, thank you, Nani. So let's proceed with the influence of Islam. According to Al-Farabi, in his Tahsil Saadah, it is the concept of happiness has highly consistent with the Islamic theology. Al-Farabi distinguished between earthly happiness in this life and supreme happiness in afterlife, right at the very beginning of the attainment of happiness. And then, as you can see on the table, supreme happiness is achieve happiness in hereafter, like which is kebahagiaan ukhrawi atau akhirat, al-sa'adah al-quswa, to describe happiness in the afterlife as the supreme happiness, and earthly happiness is achieve happiness in life, al-sa'adah al-dunya, to describe earthly happiness in the first life. And in Quran, the life of this world is nothing but provision of vanity. Maksudnya, dunia ni hanya satu tempat untuk kita prepare untuk kehidupan kita dekat akhirat sana. Okay. Next, the goal of man and the entire universe is to reach God. The Quran revealed that from the point of view of God, the soul, nafs is the entity that attains happiness, and the attainment of happiness depends on the development of soul. Maksudnya, macam mana kita nak capaikan kebahagiaan tu bergantung kepada tahap kita punya nafsu itu sendiri. Sebagai contoh, dalam Quran dah sebut ada 3 level development of the soul, which is al-nafs al-amarah, al-nafs al-lawamah, al-nafs al-mutma'inah. So, soul that want to command evil is al-nafs al-amarah. It is the lowest stage of spiritual growth, ruled by low desires and animal passion. Al-nafs al-lawamah, which is the middle one, the self-accusing soul, where the conscience is active. At this level, the soul is searching for something. Al-nafs al-mutma'inah, the soul is at rest, the one that have already achieved the perfect peace and have attained the goal of perfection. This struggle to manage and control the self during the process of developing soul is called the greater struggle of jihad al-nafs. And whoever strives jihadah will strive yujahidu for himself. Surely Allah is self-sufficient, above need of his creature. Next. A person is not a merely spiritual entity, meaning to say you are not only focused on the akhirat only. You also have to balance between the dunya and also the akhirat. The soul is linked to a physical organism that has need. Ultimate spiritual perfection cannot be achieved unless the needs of the physical organism are satisfied. Maksudnya, kalau kita abaikan dunia, akhirat pun kita takkan dapat dengan sempurna. Untuk dapatkan kedua-duanya, kebahagiaan yang sempurna, kita perlu ada balance di antara dunia dengan akhirat. The similarities seperti yang disebutkan oleh Balkis, Plato and Aristotle are evident in Al-Farabi discussion where happiness is an activity of the soul in accordance with the virtue and is sought for himself. There are three main aspects of happiness that have been deviated by Al-Farabi from the Greek philosophy. Al-Farabi explicitly spelled out the theology process that man was created by God to achieve happiness. Second, Al-Farabi process for the attainment of happiness is a practical struggle march or jihad al-nafs that is to decrease theory as described by Aristotle. Al-Farabi concept of happiness is not exclusively to philosophers only, but also available to the masses. And they say not only philosophers can achieve happiness, but also people around the world. Next, we go through the political participation and happiness. Al-Farabi believed that an isolated man cannot achieve happiness. As mentioned in the Quran, as you can read, according to Al-Farabi, a person cannot be alone by himself, so that they have to mingle around people. According to Al-Farabi, political association can be divided into two types. One that will be directed towards happiness, and the second one that will be directed towards contrary goal, which means you cannot achieve happiness. Has been mentioned by Sazwani before about the virtuous city and also the non-virtuous. The non-virtuous that will directed toward the happiness, and the non-virtuous will not direct it to happiness, while virtuous will direct it to happiness. When the political association is directed to happiness, the product is virtuosity. When it is directed to pleasure or wealth, the product is non-virtuosity, which is they will live in misery and depravity. Then move on to political science, like for virtuosity. And then in Quran, mentioned that it is compulsory for individual to be in group. That means to say that you have to be around people so that you can achieve happiness by being together with people. That is mean that each individual social responsibility to be conscious of those things that are good or evil in the society, and to encourage yourself and others to do what is good and forbid yourself for others and others from doing what is evil. Al-Farabi described the leader of the city as the one that are able than anybody else to identify every action conducive to happiness and guide others to true happiness. Therefore, the leader is the one who has the best political sign and is most able to guide others. So move on to Najia.
Alright, Assalamualaikum. I am Najia Sazwani. So I will proceed with the next one, which is the last one of the slide, which is the implementation of counseling treatment. Okay, so Al-Farabi mentioned about the attainment of happiness. Therefore, as a counselor, a few steps can be applied in order to make the client get the sense of life back. Counselor can use this technique to clients who are grieving over the loss, depression, going through hard times, and so on. Not just that, the counselor also can use this method as a psycho-educational method. Okay, so dekat sini maksudnya kami cuma ambil balik attainment of happiness yang telah diajar oleh Al-Farabi and put it on the step, meaning that a counselor can use and insert a little bit what have Al-Farabi taught in the counseling session. Okay, so melalui apa yang telah disebut oleh Syazwani, contohnya ta'lim dan ta'dib, kami memilih ta'lim, which is the teaching. So teaching tu boleh guna melalui kaedah nasihat dan pengajaran kepada klien supaya dia ada sedikit information how to apply the sense the attainment of happiness. Okay, so next step, next slide. Okay, so the 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 first one is how to apply attainment of happiness. Is number one is identify with the client condition and principles. Identify with the client conditions and principles. Okay, maksudnya principles tu maksud dia benda apa yang memberikan dia pleasure. Maksudnya pleasure tu benda apa yang memberikan dia macam keseronokan, kebergantungan. So kalau dalam case contoh di bawah itu, once identify, client can recognize and starting to let go and redor. Okay, maksudnya in simple word lah kan, I bagi contoh, for example, a person who is relying on the money untuk kebahagiaan dia. So money itself is a principle. So when it is a principle, dia letakkan benda tu sebagai benda yang pleasure. So bila contoh once a client came to you and said that dia sedih sebab and you dapat recognize yang benda yang memberikan sebenarnya rasa tidak happy pada dia adalah duit. Jadi you boleh cakap kat dia yang sebenarnya benda tu dia dah nampak clear dah apa sebenarnya punca. Jadi just recognize and dia dah dapat tahu yang benda tu, jadi dia perlu meletakkan kebergantungan itu kurang atau tidak langsung kebergantungan. Contoh dalam case grieving, bila dia bergantung kepada contoh the loved one, contoh the loss of a boyfriend kan, jadi benda tu dah meletakkan dia sesuatu kebergantungan. Jadi benda tu menghalang attainment of happiness. Jadi cubalah untuk ajar dia untuk let go, sebab benda ni Al-Farabi sendiri mention yang once you depend on something, you can achieve happiness. So kebergantungan itu hanyalah pada Tuhan, tidak kepada manusia atau benda, principles. Okay, itu yang satu. Yang kedua, Al-Farabi juga view yang human connection is the core of happiness. Maksudnya dalam dia nak cakap macam manusia ni tak bolehlah hidup seorang diri. Macam ada pepatah English berkata once a human can live in island alone. Macam tu lah. So macam tu maksudnya cuba encourage our client to live in a society, because isolation itself can somehow memberikan sadness and loneliness lah. Because if you have someone with you, you boleh share and not solely depends on the one principle itself. Okay, yang nombor 3, find a master or teacher to guide him or her achieving happiness. Example, role model. Jadi kalau macam contoh student yang ada problem dan dia cuma rasa macam dia tak happy sebab result dia ke apa, macam CBT sendiri cakap, cognitive behavior therapy sendiri cakap mencari kaedah lain iaitu melalui role model. So bila dia follow benda tu dan dia follow orang yang membawa kebaikan dan positivity, benda tu akan sedikit sebanyak mempengaruhi how he or she thinks about the particular situation itself. Okay, for the next one. Next slide. Okay, so the fourth one is deliberative virtue or intellectual virtue, macam yang Syazwani sebut, atau in simple word amar ma'ruf nahi munkar. So dalam erti kata lain membawa kepada tell the student itself that he or she need to evaluate whether this is a good thing or not. So kalau contoh Al-Farabi macam lebih kurang CBT, so mungkin boleh suruh dia pro and cons the things that he or she thinks about that thing. Okay. And the last one is moderation between dunia and akhirah. Macam contoh yang Izzah cakap tadi, kita bukanlah spiritual entity je. So kita mesti balance between this self. So wasatiyah between these two. So when you boleh wasatiyah between these two of things, and then you will simply tak ada lah terover and tak ada lah terkurang, so everything will go fine. Okay, next one. Next slide. Okay, so the conclusion. So we come to the end of our slide. The conclusion itself, Al-Farabi stressed on the attainment of happiness as well living in society. Everything should be in good pace and state where we need to be moderate in everything but put more effort on akhirah, because the only everything happiness is the attainment of syurga. Approaches of psychoeducational method can be applied during consultation, and this hopefully can help the client. The approaches of Al-Farabi can use depending on the case and the client background, itself, contohnya religion. And that's all from us. Thank you. Any question can be asked through the WhatsApp.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.